So, are we ready to talk about New Wave toys? All right, I'm going to share my screen. How about that? All right, so it wasn't much of a surprise because everybody was talking about it the day before. They go, it looks like a golden tee. And it was like, okay, it's a golden tee, it's a silver strike bowling, or it's a gauntlet. And the gauntlet, honestly, could have been a possibility because they have a deal with Atari, you know. But it really felt like it was going to be golden tee, right? And I don't think too many people, I mean, although if they added the Silver Strike Bowling, it would have been cool. I don't know if too many people have nostalgia for Silver Strike Bowling. So Golden Tee Golf seemed like the way it was going to go. And we've had a bit of a mixed reaction with it. We have some people that are very, very for this, and some people that are like, this isn't what was in my arcade. But I said all along, I thought it was a phenomenal business decision because that's a very popular arcade, whether it was in a bar or an arcade or where you find it, like that will sell units to a lot of different golf and golden tee collectors. And I felt it was a smart move for New Wave Toys to release this one. I think that everybody has different tastes in games, you know, and not every game's going to be for every single person. But I think Golden Tee has a pretty big mass audience, and a lot of people enjoy playing the game. And anyway, what I want to get into, what I thought was really cool about this Replicade, is that it looks just actually like the arcade, and it has attention to detail, which I found doing my Berserk review at Tapper's Arcade Bar, where I actually compared the actual arcade and saw how realistic and how deep they go in the details. I know without a shadow of a doubt that this thing's going to have all those details. And while I don't know as much about the tournament mode and things like that, I do remember that that topper in the bars, or at least in some arcades where I've seen it before in the past. And I think when it originally came out, I wasn't 21. I definitely was not. But I remember seeing that topper, and the fact that they took the time to make that topper and bring that to reality just says a lot. And it probably added a bit to the cost too, I think. But you don't see companies like Arcade 1-Up that are releasing a replica like pay that attention to the details. You're not going to see them put that on theirs because that's going to cost them too much of their bottom dollar. And so New Wave Toys, I don't think they necessarily care about cost. They care most about, is it authentic to the original experience, which I really appreciate.
Absolutely.
Now, it is $249, but that's not the real price right now, because if you use the code GOLDEN35, it goes down to $199, which was the same price as the Berserk. Which I think, with the amount of detail they put in, I'm fine with it. And the reason why is because it's kind of like a collector's item for the arcade enthusiast. Like, you have to be a real enthusiast to want something that realistic. Do either one of you have any New Wave Toys products?
Yeah, I got a cube.
Yeah, I have. I think 6. No, maybe 5 of the arcades. And then I have the Coke machine, and then I also have the charging station.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And what do you?
Gallagher guy has a little mini arcade. You can make a whole diorama with what you've got.
I got let me see, Qbert, and then I have Space Ace, 1942, Food Fight. I'm trying to think of the other.
Food Fight one. The Food Fight one's
yeah.
pretty awesome. I remember playing that at Cleveland Gaming Expo. That one I was really, really impressed with.
Yeah, who was the
I wish I
there?
had gotten one.
Was it? It wasn't Shiloh. It was the
Eduardo.
Eduardo. I was gonna say, yeah, he was such a cool guy, and actually they had said they sold them all out, and I told him that, oh man, this looks so cool, and I just couldn't, I didn't know whether or not I wanted to spend the money on it, and then I left, and like an hour later I came back, and he's like, I kind of held one for you, and so he had it there for me. He's like, oh, like if you still want it, it's here. If not, other people will buy it, but like I kind of held it for you. So I was like, yeah, I'll take the food fight, man. That thing is too cool, and it is a cool arcade.
Yeah. That's one I wish I could still get for that type of price. That was a really. I never even played Food Fight before, to be honest, until I think the Atari's 50th on PlayStation 4 or Xbox. I got an Xbox. I played it, and that game's pretty fun. And Papa Brad's got a Q*bert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. It's great.
You love it?
Oh, I love it. They did a great job. It's amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really have a 3/4 scale Q*bert. No one really made one, but this kind of, at least it gives me a little bit of that itch, because the controls are so weird, because you got to mount the joystick diagonally to have it play right.
Yeah. So hold on, let me get that off the screen here. So let's go.
It's gone.
Let's go into the details here real quick, okay? So we got 6 games on this. So the Berserk and the Frenzy have 2 games, and I think the Ghouls and Ghosts and Goblins had 2 games. Most of these have had 2 games so far. This one's got 6 games. They're all Golden Tee. Golden Tee Classic, Golden Tee 3D Golf, Golden Tee 99, Golden Tee 97, 98, and 2000. And it obviously comes with the topper, the DMD topper, the tournament play. And it is customizable, it says. And what my question is, and I guess I hopefully get some more answers this evening during Glenn's show, is, can you actually participate in a tournament play on this if you have a bunch of friends over? Has anybody talked about that yet? On any of these streams?
I have heard. Like, you mean like tournament play as in like in the game itself, or like online?
Well, I meant like, can you, like, say you have like 6 buddies over or something, and you want to play like a tournament of like Golden Tee or something like that. Is that something you could do? That's my question. I don't know.
I don't know. I've only ever played with 2 people on my Golden Tee XL, so I never really went into a tournament mode. So, like, as far as the golf side of it, the bowling and the shuffle golf, I play with a lot more people. But as far as the golf itself, I've only played with just me and one other person. Usually, is what we do, because you got to play all 18 holes on that game. That's the only thing that I'm like. Those old games, it's like you're stuck 18 holes, man. Like, you can't do like 9 and then it's like, oh, it's called it quits. It's 18 holes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of one of the. That's one of those games that, like, you could even, like, if you had it and you had like say you had a pool table or something, or a card game or something going on, you could have this going on too, and maybe take turns going golfing. Maybe you're watching a game. You're sitting there watching a baseball or football game or whatever, and then you have this game going on another screen. Those are things obviously you could do. Obviously it's got the mini coins. I think did those debut with the Ghosts and Goblins?
Maybe. I know they had them in the Coke machine, obviously, but maybe it was Ghosts and Goblins before that had them.
Yeah, so what's cool about it is, which I liked about the Berserk, was I could either just press the button or use the coins. It has both, which I really like. I think if it just had the coins, I'd rather have the button. But since it does both, that's really ultra cool, because sometimes it's kind of neat to put the coins in. Yeah. They obviously mimic a CRT with CRT FX 2.0, officially licensed by Incredible Technologies, and it's got the USB-C charge cable. And that's one thing I thought was really cool, because when I actually got to use this at the arcade, the battery was charged, so I didn't have to have it plugged in or anything, and I could just use it and compare it to the actual arcade. So it was actually really useful, the battery, because at first I thought, do I really need a battery? And then when I brought it there, it was really cool. And it's nice to have the battery, because then you could take it, you could play it on a little coffee table or something like that. And look, the coin doors light up. The coin lights light up And it's not an additional $20 that you have to pay and then install yourself.
There's no mod kit you need to get.
Yeah, it's included. Like when they say it's a replica, right?
And that knocker in the Qbert too is awesome. Like,
Oh yeah,
I'll forget
how
I
it
turned it
works.
on. Like the rest of them I kind of hear, but then all of a sudden that knocker happens, and you're like, "What is that noise?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, that's my Qbert." That thing is pretty cool. They're always real authentic with them.
My backpack is here. Okay. Interesting. So here's one thing I heard people say. Like, I've heard a lot of people in the chat say, like, they don't have a nostalgia for this game. You know, and I heard, not that I have the best relationship with this guy, because I don't, but Twisted Chris say I didn't have a relationship or a nostalgia for playing Berserk, right? But he didn't come into that chat room and complain. Well, what I thought about was a lot of these really old arcade games that like Papa Brad enjoys, like the Qbert,
Berserk,
like
Qbert.
the Pac-Man, like the Berserk,
Absolutely,
like Centipede, like things like that.
Asteroids, all the stuff I've done.
I like if I was only sticking to what I had the nostalgia for, I probably would only have like Street Fighter 2 and like Marvel vs. Capcom and Street Fighter 3 and like NBA Jam and Blitz. Like, cause I was a child of the 90s, right? I mean, at least that's
before your time.
Yeah. But why I really knew that Berserk was really special for me was like I did a bunch of streams of Papa Brad on Berserk. We had Buckner from Buckner and Garcia on, and I remember when I first listened to that whole Pac-Man Fever album, my favorite song on the album was Berserk, and I absolutely loved that song. And then I played Berserk, and I played Frenzy, and I played all those games, and I just kind of fell in love with the game. And I definitely, that and Centipede, that's another one I fell in love with within the last couple of years. And those are my two favorite like 80s games now. Like I don't, Pac-Man, whatever. I mean, I don't care. Like Berserk and Centipede, those are the ones you could like catch me playing. And it's thanks to like people I've met in the community and things like that. And same thing when I started playing another golf game on Neo Geo, Neo Turf Masters. I didn't play that growing up. There's no way. People are like, this game's great. You should play this game. And so like, because of the home arcade community, because of these new products, or because of hanging out with Papa Brad or hanging out with Rick or whatever, there's always some game I may not have tried. Now I play it. Now I really enjoy it. And I appreciate the history of the game. And so instead of just like saying, hey, I don't have any nostalgia for this, let's move on, I'd rather give something a try and see what I think about it, because it may be the next game I play a ton of.
The thing is, not everything needs to be for everybody, too.
That's true, too. Yeah, I agree.
If you grew up in the 90s, I mean, this was in every bar. I remember, like, it's still popular. Golden Tea's massively popular, And, I think this is going to be a home run for them. I think there's a huge market for people that love Golden Tee.
Yeah, I think so, too. And honestly, I just started playing Golden Tee recently on the iArcade, funny enough, with Glenn's deck. And it takes a lot of, like, it takes patience because it's different. It's not what I'm used to. Like, I actually have to practice that game to figure out how I feel about it. Like, I can't give a definitive opinion at the second because, like, I haven't played enough of Golden Tee. I'll just, full disclosure, right? But I'm looking forward to enjoying the game. And I know that everything that New Wave Toys is going to release is going to be pretty authentic to the real deal thing, which makes me excited, especially for people that love Golden Tee.
Yeah, absolutely. And I watched that same video by Twisted Chris too, and I think didn't he mention in there this is like the longest running arcade series that's ever been. Like it's still going after like 35 years. It's still going. So I mean, this is obviously a popular title with a lot of people. So it is a win on the business side of things. Obviously people who have nostalgia for it are going to be buying these things, and it was very, very popular. So why not? If you can do it and
Absolutely.
make some money to make other cool things, and by all means, go ahead.
They have a vote for the production marquee, and you know, I know the Golden Tee 3D Golf. I know the Golden Tee 2K. I remember seeing that in the Golden Tee Classic. I'm not as familiar with seeing the other marquees, but you know, they were there probably for a year before they moved it on to the next year's version. So I'm curious to see which one wins. That ought to be interesting. I almost think it'd be cool if they were interchangeable.
That's
sorry.
what I was thinking. That would be really cool if they came with all 6 of those and you could kind of just put it
slide
in and
it
out,
in
like,
or something.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
That would be pretty cool. I don't know what the cost add-on to that would have been for them, though. You know, because I don't think they want to get past this price point right now. Because $249, I mean, it's a lot. I think it's very reasonable when you put in that code, that golden 35. For sure. And even if you get the other version, which is the Glen Retro Show version,
Wow.
which is $3.99, but I think it's $3.21 or something like that after you put in your discount code. You get Glenn's deck with the official hat buttons and Glenn's trackball. Now, the one thing I gotta say about Glenn's trackball is I know that trackball's money. I know that's a good trackball. Because I've used at least the version he has on the iiRcade, and it's phenomenal. You know, I use it all the time to play Centipede on there, and the Sonic game with the trackball, Sega Sonic. I've used it for that game too, and I know that this is going to be an accurate product. Now, it's wireless, so I'm assuming it's Bluetooth. And it says featuring HDMI plug and play on your big screen and cable-free gameplay via our reliable wireless. What's up?
Real hat trackball. It's like they have on a Golden Tee. This is what I use to play Golden Tee on. Use my arcade panel. But you can see how much bigger it is. The bigger.
Let me do this, Brad. Oops, sorry, I made you.
Let me do this.
I'll do it one time.
I was trying to figure out if I could make you full screen. There you go. Don't ding your hand, dude. Don't hurt your hand
I got lots of room.
like James loves one-ups. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, the big trackball is amazing. That's what you need for playing Golden Tee. It's going to be great. This is a great upgrade to the game. People that like to playing on a pedestal is way better. Like with this gigantic control panel, I have nothing near my hands. So I can go as hard as I want to, and I don't have to worry about touching my monitor or anything around me. But that is exciting. I think that's one of the coolest things. To me, the coolest thing about this is the Glenn's add-on trackball. It's wireless too, isn't it?
Yeah, it says it's wireless.
No wires connected.
So Goofyfoot says the OG will win. Got to keep it an 80s cabinet. New Wave Toys hasn't done just 80s cabinets. They've made Street Fighter 2, which is 90s. Mm-hmm. Was Ghouls and Ghosts might have been late 80s, early 90s. I don't know for sure, but they're not all 80s.
They definitely have a huge following, though. A lot of people that love New Wave Toys, they love the golden age of arcades.
They do.
You know, they have a lot of zealots, like any community. I think you got to just keep in mind, not everything is for everybody, you know?
There's a lot of people from the 90s that want to buy 90s arcades. Sure. You know, they don't want the 80s arcades. But like I said, you never know until you play the game yourself. So give it a shot, you know?
You know too, like you said, with Glenn's parts being in there and that deck, it's going to be, a very good product. So if you're ordering that, which to me, I mean, it's $250 technically for the actual little arcade, and if you use the code, it's only $70 more, and you get the deck too. And I'm like, if I was going to buy the one, I'd probably I might as well get the whole thing. Like that's me though. If I was going to buy it,
and they're both going to be super collectible, I think. I mean, it's just they only make so many of them. I think they don't do second runs. Isn't that one of their big things with New Wave Toys?
Unless they could make something significantly better. They made
they did, I think, with Dragon's Lair, huh?
Dragon's Lair,
but in general, they don't. Like if you want to go get a Centipede New Wave Toys, you're gonna be paying top dollar because it's you can't get them anymore.
I'll be honest with you. If they made a whole complete another run of Dragon's Lair, though, I think they'd all sell out.
Probably.
I don't think they made enough Dragon's Lair. I think Dragon's Lair and Centipede they could probably release all day long.
Yeah, it's just Dragon's Lair really says 80s, you know, when I think of 80s arcades.
Yeah,
you know,
it is. It's definitely 80s.
If it was really a top level S tier arcade, they had a Dragon's Lair tucked away in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And so, too, since they don't do, like Arcade 1-Up where they keep redoing these and rehashing these constantly, it also adds to the fact of probably why this is, again, another win, because this is going to sell a lot of those units that they have because they won't redo it. So they're like, we have to come out with something that's going to be a power hitter that's going to sell a lot. And Golden Tee, with it being so big, it's probably going to sell a lot of those. So again, another win on the business side of things.
Also, just so you know, I have no problem with James Hates Everything. I just think it's funny his name's James Hates Everything, but he loves 1-Ups, so that's why I call him James Loves 1-Ups.
Yeah, I didn't think he really hit that Golden Tee that bad, and then I went and rewatched it, and I was like, man, he really slams that thing. I was like, I'm surprised his hand is not hurt. Yeah.
Well, you don't want anything near the trackball if you're gonna go for those power drives like that.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest though, like if you are using a trackball in an arcade 1-Up, it can't be that good. Judging by the controls I've had on other arcade 1-Ups, I can't imagine that trackball is very good.
The bigger size makes a big difference too. It just plays better. The bigger trackball.
That and I had a Centipede, an Arcade 1-Up Centipede, and I had to get rid of it because the trackball, it kept, like, I would oil it and stuff. Like, people were telling me why it was stuttering. I'll try this, try that, and it worked good for like 10 minutes, and then it'd go back to just garbage.
I put the GRS trackball in my Atari Tempest cab. I still have arcade 1-Ups. I still have a couple of them. It survived my purge. But
well, I was gonna do that.
It's a highly modded though. It's got the GRS trackball. All the buttons are modded. They're all so it all glows. But Glenn makes good stuff. This is a good collaboration.
Yeah. I was gonna do that in the Centipede, but Glenn said that one didn't work with the new Centipede. It only worked in the old Centipede, and you had to do something to get it to work. And I was like, yeah, I'll just sell the thing, man.
The first gen Centipede was better.
Yeah, it was.
Right. Man, I think New Wave Toys needs to come out with another Centipede. They gotta have something better they could release now. That thing would sell like hotcakes, man. Like, I think there's pent up demand for Centipede for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd buy that in a heartbeat. Especially if they came out with the same deck type of thing like this. Oh man, absolutely.
Kevgret. So Kevgret's here. He's a Golden Tee aficionado. Obviously, it was released in 1995 as the first to feature tournament play. So, Kevgret, did they say that tournament play is going to be a feature that's built into this, or is it just the DMD topper? But the form factor being used started with Golden Tee, or am I mistaken? Yeah,
what did it say online? Didn't you have something highlighted where it mentioned tournament play? Something about tournament play?
It's just it says the Golden Tee replicate includes a replica 1.6 scale first gen tournament play DMD topper featuring customizable red marquee messaging.
Ah, okay.
So I can make it say "Happy Birthday, Galaga Guy 88," right? Like, I guess that's what that means.
It's not my birthday, but whatever you want to put on it, you can put it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of details as far as little questions that are going to be asked. And I'm sure a lot of them will be answered on Glenn's stream tonight because he's got Shiloh on, which that'll be a really good show at 8 o'clock on Glenn's Retro Show. So that'll be cool to see. But I just wanted to come out and talk about it real quick because I didn't have my chance yet. I also want to mention the Berserk Replicate is still for sale. The Frenzy's gone, but Berserk is still available, and also contains Frenzy. This is like, I absolutely love this. I have it like right above here on the shelf here, and it's really cool. It gives me a lot of nostalgia and memories about Berserk and my time spent streaming with Papa Brad and having Buckner from Buckner Garcia on and all of that. So
Isn't that so cool that we're making new nostalgia? Like we have nostalgia, and then we're making new nostalgia now. So now you
Yeah.
have nostalgia. Yeah. Um, I did enjoy your review on that too because I've never seen anyone else, as far as with the new wave toys stuff, do that. Go to an actual arcade and like have the actual
Side by
arcade
side
there.
was great. Yeah, it was a great idea.
Yeah, that
so
was a very good idea.
Great
that
content.
was something that like I would always watch these reviews, and some of them were really creative and really interesting because it was always interesting to see a different spin on it. But the one thing I kept wondering, I'm like, why doesn't anybody compare this to the real arcade? It bothered me a lot. And so I was like, that's what I'm doing. I want to do that. And it was something I really, 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 really wanted to do. And I had to really, really want to do it because it was probably about 15 hours worth of work by the time it's all said and done. Like, because I had to, one, find a Berserk cabinet that was working at least at an arcade where they'd let me come in and actually open up the arcade and film this thing. And I got a lot of ignored emails, a lot of people that would respond and say their machine's not working, people that would respond and say no. And then finally, after a couple of weeks, I get a yes, and it's right where I live. And I was like, hot damn.
Score.
And so this is great. When can I do this? And then I go over to Tappers, which I honestly like. I love arcades, but I'm not a drinker, so I don't necessarily go to like a bar. And I go in there and I'm like, this place is phenomenal. And Austin over there was so great. And so I was like, let me film a walkthrough and ask you some questions about these arcades before I leave. And I think
Yeah.
that.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So here we go. I'm filming my Frenzy review at a local arcade. Biggie D is as the first to copy my idea. I knew somebody would copy my idea. I was like, somebody will. I go.
Yeah, that's a form of flattery. That's a form
It
of
is.
flattery.
It is.
That's a good
It
thing.
is. I better get some
Copy
credit.
the good content.
I better get some credit in the video.
Yeah, that was what I thought was cool too. Is that it was like an original Berserk. Like, you know, sometimes you go into an arcade and they've slapped something else in there too. Like, so you actually found someone that still had all the original parts in it and everything. So I thought that was pretty sweet.
Most of what they changed during those years was the marquee in the top, where they try to be a little consistent to keeping costs down. Yes, it'll be a good one, and Frenzy's a harder one to find, to be honest. I know Biggie found a Frenzy close to him, so that's good. But like Frenzy's,
I've never seen a Frenzy at an arcade.
I bet.
I
Berserk.
Yeah, honestly,
haven't either.
Berserks are hard to find too. They're not at every arcade. It was a challenge. It definitely was. I don't envy the whole finding a Frenzy, but I know how he found one pretty easily. Is he contacted somebody that knows about all the arcades in Arizona, Retro Ralph.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
he'd know. He'd know.
But then even after you do that, then you gotta sit down and film it, and obviously do your research, film it, and then you gotta edit it and make sure it's good. So
Did they just give you the keys to it to unlock the back and everything? Or they just like, here you go?
He basically moved it out in the middle of the room and went to his office and said, "Have at it."
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, the one thing I wish I would have done is open up the coin door, because I forgot to do that, and I told Biggie D when he called me, I go, you need to make sure you open the coin door, because I didn't do that. And I gave him my advice / best wishes, because like I said, once you do it and the cat's out of the bag, it's free game for anybody to do it. So there you go. At least I was first, right? I was first.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything unique that's like near me I could do that with. There is a food fight. That's the only one place I've ever seen a real food fight, and that's the one we go to a lot. That's why I played that. But food fight's kind of old. I mean, I might just say something about it, but that's it. But I won't copy you. unless later on
Dude,
I want to, then I'll.
at this point, it's already out of the bag, man. It's once you do something, anybody else could do it. It's just how YouTube works. I'm just glad I was the first one, and I'm glad I was able to deliver. I felt a pretty solid review, and I tried to take the time for all the things I could, but I also tried to say, okay, this review is about Berserk, not Frenzy. So I didn't spend a lot of time on Frenzy because it didn't seem to fit with what I was doing at the time. But it is cool both games are included. I do like that fact. It's just like I was going to focus on the one game.
Yeah, it would be cool if whenever they went to Cleveland, New Wave Toys, if they would have, whatever their, upcoming or, pre-released whatever arcade is, if they had a full-size one there for you to compare, like, hey, this is how detailed it is, the same thing but in like real life, that would be like so sweet, like to do. I would freak out. That'd be so cool.
Thank you, Saiyan Spirits. I really appreciate that. And I thought, honestly, if you haven't seen the arcade walkthrough on Tapper's Arcade Bar 2, I really thought that was like probably my best arcade walkthrough. And I really enjoyed getting to talk to Austin. And I know Galaga Guy contacted me about that one.
Yeah. So when in your video, I was like, "There's no way she went to the same Tappers as what I went to." Because for my bachelor party, we went to a lot of different places, but that was one of them that we stopped at. And in your walkthrough, you talk about like, "Oh, Galaga Guy here," and then whenever you see Dig Dug, you're like, "Oh, Dig Dug, he would have been Dig Dug Guy." Da, da, da. And that was honestly one of the last places that I have a good memory that I had with my dad at that same exact bar, because he was there with me and he played on that Nintendo that I believe it was Mario Brothers. He played on that Nintendo right there. I have a picture of him that I showed you. Like that was like one of the last good memories I have with my dad was. So it was just weird, the whole connection. Like the one place that decided to let you do the review that you mentioned me on was one of the last. It was just like the connection was crazy. I was like, what are the odds of this? Like it's crazy.
I'm gonna comment here. The reason I started doing arcade walkthroughs is because I went to Chicago that one year with everybody that was in the home arcade community, and everybody was just live streaming from the arcade. So I was just like, I'm just gonna put out edited videos of the arcade. I'll show them. So that's how I started doing that. And then I noticed Brad was doing them too. But Brad does a really thorough job, and sometimes I just throw them out there. But the Tappers one was really good. The Logan's one I did was pretty good. I did a good one on Galloping Ghost, but it's hard to do Galloping Ghost because there's literally 1,000 arcade machines, and it's just too much. You're like, here's this one, here's this one, here's this one, here's this one. You don't have any time. And even if you just say, here's this one, here's this one, here's this one, the video is still 20 minutes.
You need to have like a auctioneer voice, like just like zooming through.